Introduction. Being an experienced psychonaut, I decided, after extensive research, that I would give nutmeg a try in an effort to determine its true psychedelic value. I believe that one has the personal right to choose what he puts into one's body. I also believe that a high level of knowledge can be wrought from experiments with psychoactive plants, chemicals, etc., and valuable knowledge at that. My philosophy is that, doing is learning, and I suppose that giving nutmeg a try is a learning experience under this philosophy. It was back in grammar school that I first recall hearing about how nutmeg can get you high. But I also heard that you had to eat an entire can of it to feel anything. Naturally, my interest in nutmeg ended there. It wasn't until nearly a decade later that I ran across the list of psychoactive drugs on the Erowid site, and boy, was I taken aback. Sure enough, there was nutmeg listed among the likes of cannabis, MDMA, heroin and many others. Well, I thought, the time for nutmeg will come soon enough, and it has. This is my nutmeg experience. For the record, I tried nutmeg, 3 tablespoons, a week before this experience, but felt nothing. The nutmeg was very old and my conclusion was that it lost its psychoactive properties due to age. 3 tablespoons fresh ground nutmeg 9:35 p.m. I finish ingesting almost exactly 3 tablespoons of fresh ground nutmeg bought at a nearby Amoco gas station. The nutmeg was a rusty color and was fluffy and slightly moist to the touch. I swish the nutmeg around in my mouth with Coke and TSP increments. This masked the flavor very effectively and is much more tolerable than water. The ever so lovely grittiness of the spice almost disappears when swished around with Coke and tipped back very quickly. 10:30 A mild stomach ache, not too surprised. If I were a stomach I would definitely throw a fit in this situation also. 10:35 In an effort to speed up the initial effects I decide to smoke a very small amount of weed. It calmed my stomach down a bit too. 10:45 While listening to a little Richie Houghton, I feel a slight surge of happiness and energy, I start to bounce. It left almost as soon as it came. 11:30 A whole lot of nothing. 12:20 a.m. A slight sense of dizziness, some minor involuntary twitching in my hands, and a bit of a tight throat, almost like asthma. I feel very faintly stoned, extremely subtle though, barely detectable. I have also been clenching my teeth quite a bit the past half hour, placebo or side effect. Who knows, it is annoying though. 1:15 The stoned sense is a bit more noticeable, it is a bit harder to focus on writing this account. I am going to take a shower now. 2:10 The shower felt quite nice. The stoned feeling is a bit more intense, I feel quite a bit more stupid. I feel somewhat heavy also, sort of drowsy. 2:25 I am definitely slower and more sluggish than usual, it is almost a chore to type this out. I have the feeling that the effects will not get much more intense. I could kick myself, I knew that I should have taken more right at the get-go. 2:30 I keep zoning out, I'm feeling like a zombie, sort of like the feeling you get when you don't sleep for a couple of days, only not as harsh. 2:55 I just got done listening to some Fish. 3 o'clock I'm off to bed. 6 o'clock quite a short night of sleep. Something must have happened while I was sleeping because it feels as though my movement and my actions seem to trail my actual physical appendages. This is quite strange. I've had visual trails, audio trails, and reality trails, but never bodily movement trails, a brand new experience. They are not massive though, quite tame in fact. I am still convinced that I did not take enough. I am a bigger guy so I think a tablespoon more would have done well. 7 o'clock The movement trails seem to have dissipated. The sensation is no longer detectable. I am really experiencing little side effects if any. 2:10 p.m. All effects seem to have disappeared, I seem to be completely sober. Conclusion. Well, I admitted early in this account that I probably did not consume enough nutmeg to feel any of the strong effects. I don't feel that I wasted time with this, though. I stated in the introduction that my philosophy is, doing is learning. Along with that, I also believe that, doing until the desired effect is achieved is learning. Maybe I will try this again in a few days with 4 tablespoons, to hopefully get the stronger effects. If anything, I sort of know what to expect the next time I indulge in the spice. My advice to anyone over 185 pounds is that you take 3.5 to 4 tablespoons if you want to experience strong effects. All in all, I don't think that I took enough even to recommend it as a low dosage for a casual trip. If you are 185 pounds or over, my general conclusion is that you take no more than 3.5 tablespoons for a casual trip, and no more than 4 tablespoons for a hard and heavy trip. Anything over 4 tablespoons, I'm afraid, will be a complete mind-blower smiley face. Smidge. PS. Look for a follow-up account from me. The next time will be a bit more interesting, I'm sure.